Last Tuesday was a tremendous victory for Democrats, up and down the ballot and all across the country. And frankly, I wish I had stayed off of social media for a few days and skipped some of those podcasts because the pundits have driven me crazy. They all want to cherry pick some data from a handful of races and create a brand or identity for what the Democratic Party is. And that is not who we are. It is not who we have ever been. And when we allow for a single brand or a single identity to define us, we lose elections. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Hello, my name is Brian Kennedy. I am the mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin, the national president of Democratic Municipal Officials, and I sit on the Democratic National Committee. If you like this content about Democratic Party politics and local government, follow me so I continue to show up on your For You page. So let's talk about what it means to be a Democrat. How can you have a moderate like Spamberger or Sherrill and a Democratic socialist like Mamdani be in the same party? Well, it's because you have a group of people who have an underlying philosophy that is the same, but their agendas look different and the way in which they pursue those agendas looks different. What's the underlying philosophy of the Democratic Party? The underlying philosophy of the Democratic Party is very simple, that government can and should work to meet people's needs and protect people's rights. If you look at anything in our platform, anything in the Democratic Party agenda, regardless whether you've got a more conservative Democratic governor like Beshear in Kentucky or a socialist like Mamdani in New York City, the underlying principle is, are we working to meet people's needs? And that could be healthcare and food and education. And are we protecting people's rights? And whether that's race or gender, we're working as a party to basically do those two things. And that's what is the underlying philosophy of the Democratic Party. But you can't create a single brand or a single identity for the party based on that, because all politics is inherently local. And so what it means to be a Democrat in rural Oklahoma is different than what it means to be a Democrat in the Bronx. I'm going to give you an example from my own time serving as the chief elected officer of my city. I've been a mayor since 2015. I was a former teachers union president, so my politics tend to be a little left of center. And when I ran for mayor, I ran with a green agenda, that we were going to implement clean energy and green infrastructure throughout the city. And I spent my first 2 terms doing just that. But by my 3rd term, I had seen a huge business community that did not have a way of working together and did not have a community of interest. So in my 3rd term, I worked to build a chamber of commerce. Did I suddenly become a conservative Republican because I built a chamber? No. I was a pragmatic local elected official who saw where my community was and what the needs were. And that's exactly what we saw Mamdani do in New York City. He went out and talked to people at subway stations and said, what do you want to see from New York? What do you think your government should look like? What's most important to you? And then we saw Spamberger in Virginia and Sherrill in New Jersey go and talk to their residents, and their agendas looked very different than folks in New York City. But the underlying principle of a government that works to meet people's needs and protect people's rights is at the foundation of both platforms for the 2 governor candidates as well as the mayor's candidate. And we saw Democrats win all across the country with a variety of different viewpoints and ideas. I did a video the other day where I talked about all the wins for Democratic municipal officials all across the country. And everybody's agenda was different. And so these pundits that try and create a single brand or a single identity for what it is to be a Democrat or what the Democratic Party is will lose us elections. I have a book coming out in the spring called It's All Local, where I argue that the national messaging machine trying to create a message in Washington with these $1 million consultants, their talking points, and then trying to cram that down everybody's throats all across the country is what has been systematically losing us elections and supporters. Because you know what? When you create generic marketing talking points in Washington, they don't resonate with everyday people. We need to get back to allowing government to be organic and local, where people's viewpoints and interests are going to vary across the country. So can you be a Democrat who starts a chamber of commerce? Yes, you can. Can you be a Democrat who pursues a green agenda? Yes, you can. Can you be a Democrat who makes buses free? Yes, you can. You can do all of these things and still be within the Democratic Party. So that's my rant for the day. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I will talk with you soon.